Yes, lovely stuff. Welcome back to the Ollie Barrett channel today for a brand new video where I tell you exactly how it is. Today it is beautiful weather. I am burning up in this black t-shirt. It's been a miserable past week. We've had a couple of big ass storms, so it's nice to see the sun out shining, got the shades on again. Happy days. Today, what we're going to be chatting about, we're going to be chatting about working for yourself. Working for yourself is fantastic, and I feel incredibly blessed to be working for myself at 22 years old. I kind of always knew going through school, in the later years of school anyway, that's what I would want to be doing, because to be absolutely honest, I was a fairly intelligent kid growing up, but I've always had, as many other kids do, an issue with authority, and that is something I'm still trying to learn. But when I'm in the lower rungs, when I'm in the lower rungs of the economic ladder, in starter jobs, no offense to anyone who's still in starter jobs at all, but this is just from my own experiences. When I was working as a waiter, when I was 18, 19, 20 years old, I've had about 15 jobs, and that's partly the reason I've had that many is because I've had an issue with authority. So I've done waiting, I've done checkouts at supermarkets, I've done behind the bar and all that sort of stuff. And I was never one to be a yes man. I've got this thing where I always try and find a more efficient way of doing something. If something's done all the time, at work, it's done every day, even in your personal life, I always try and find a more effective way of doing that task, just subconsciously. And I would often come up with what I thought were better ways to do things at work. And I would bring them to my manager's attention. By all means, I probably did that in the totally wrong way, being my immature self. And that's probably where my problems led to. That's probably why my problems sort of happened. But I would challenge the way things were done. And you get some managers, some leaders who they embrace that and they'll say, yeah, look, that's great. The way you've seen to do that is much better. But then you'll get others that just don't want to listen, especially when you're 18, 19 years old, which, I guess I can understand. So I kind of always knew I wanted to work for myself as soon as possible. Not just because of that, but also because I just love to work on my own time. And there's a hell of a lot of benefits to working for yourself, but I'm going to get into also a couple of negatives later on. So working for yourself, you get to work on your own time, you get to hopefully do something you're passionate about, which is what I'm doing at the moment. I'm very passionate about making content. I really enjoy it. And there's a couple of negatives though that come with working for yourself, and I just want to make sure that people don't think I'm complaining, because I absolutely don't. I'm blessed to be in the position that I'm in. The past 3 months, I've been able to sort of live off what I'm making on YouTube, which is awesome. So hopefully we're just going to keep it going from there. That's mainly down to you people who watch. Well, no, it is absolutely. It's all down to you who watch. So can't thank everybody enough, honestly. The negatives. These have really been highlighted in the past few days. I had a very important conversation with my girlfriend and then myself, and I had to kind of admit a few things that I hadn't really given myself time to think about, so I didn't really realize that these were issues, but they are. Let me get into that. So when you're working for yourself, it's very difficult to separate work from your daily life. So if you have a 40-hour job, you go to work and then you finish work and you go home, and most of the time, especially if you're on the kind of more entry-level jobs, you're not really going to take work home with you. That's it. Your time after work is your time to relax, to spend with friends, etc. But when you work for yourself, it's kind of different. And I hear this all the time when I listen to podcasts that I enjoy of extremely successful people, and they get to this point where their work and their life becomes their work, and they find it very hard to differentiate and to separate the two and to balance everything else that's going on in their life. So I hear a lot as well, and it's starting to kind of happen to me, where if I'm not working, I kind of feel guilty. Most nights I will treat myself to go out with some friends, I don't go out with friends most nights, but a couple of times during the week I'll go out with friends, or I'll watch an episode on Netflix in the evening. And if I've worked hard throughout the day, it's like a little reward. But oftentimes you get to this point where you feel guilty if you're not working, and it makes it kind of sometimes difficult to enjoy the times that you're not working. And that is not totally true, but I can see how it's getting more and more like that, and I need to stop that in its tracks before it gets a bit too overwhelming and I start to neglect other aspects of my life too much, which is what I've come to realize over this past few days. So like I told you, I had a very important conversation with my girlfriend and myself, and I'm not going to let you in too much on my private life, because that would, that just doesn't really make sense to me, but you can kind of get the gist anyway. I've been neglecting other aspects of my life, and that's with learning Chinese, that's with exercising, that's with my private life as well. And I think that's because I'm not giving myself the time to identify what is going wrong, and giving myself the time to identify where I'm going wrong. So one thing I've done going forwards is I'm allocating myself one time per week at least, where I'm going to go out. I'm not going to take my earphones with me. I'm going to go out by myself, maybe to the park or wherever it may be, and just think about everything. Maybe record some voice messages into my phone, because extremely often thoughts come and go. They're like strangers to your house. They come and go, and you kind of think you're going to remember the same thoughts later, or they're going to be reoccurring thoughts, but you kind of, until you articulate it into language, it doesn't consolidate what you're actually thinking. So I think recording some voice messages as I'm walking around on my own about my thoughts and feelings about X, Y, and Z, other areas in my life, will be really helpful to overcoming this issue that I have. It's all about balance, There's a dichotomy between the work and life balance. And as this is the first time in my life I'm actually working for myself full time for the past 3 months, I'm really trying to learn that as well as anyone else. And I'm sure people who have even been in that game for 20 years are still trying to learn that balance, because it's definitely not an easy thing to do. But as I said, you know, it's all part of the journey. So it'll be fun to see where this diary goes in the future. Maybe in a year or two time, I'll look back on this video and I'll think, I think I figured it out. That would be good. Anyway, hopefully you were able to resonate with this message somewhat or another. Yeah, it'd be good if you can subscribe if you haven't already. Like this video, comment down below what experiences you've had in this area of working for yourself and feeling guilty if you're not working in that kind of thing. Anyway, hopefully you did enjoy. See you later. See you in the next one. Bye bye.